Welcome to Chilli and Wood. Today we're going to make this, a wood carving mallet without the use of a lathe. I like to do a little bit of carving, so I needed some wood carving mallets. And I didn't have a lathe, so I was trying to think of how I could do it. And this is the method I came up with. It's quite simple. You can make a nice practical, simple mallet, or if you want, you can make something completely different depending on the woods you use. For this project, and to show everybody how simple it is, I use some scrap, I think it's quarter-inch and half-inch plywood, and some scrap mahogany I'd left lying around. This was actually quadrant molding mahogany, so I glued it, four of them together to make this a round dowel piece basically for it. Much simpler than getting a square piece and trying to carve a square piece through it all for something as a shop mallet. That's all I'm making it. But if you want to make something really nice, absolutely you can. You can do it with the same method as well. You know what I mean? It is using a nice piece of doweling, or you can make your own doweling, as you can see. And then if you change the woods here, you know what I mean? If you have a bit of more mahogany, some cherry, some maple, some walnut, something like that, even with a bit of maybe a purple heart going through it then as well, just the odd piece here and there, you can make some beautiful patterns here, and you can make some beautiful mallets. The size of your mallet is completely up to you as well. This one here is, as it says, 4-inch ones that I've made. You can make it, or slightly less than 4 inches. You can make it whatever size you want. You know what I mean? You'll see that as well when I show you the method that I use, and you can see how quick and easy it is. So anyway, enough about this. Let's get on with it. Here we go. Okay, so let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the handle, or get the basics of the handle done. Okay, so usually I would use a bit of doweling that you have handy. If you have some heavy duty doweling, even a handle of a broomstick would actually work. What I had available was this is 16 mil quadrant molding. That's all I had just lying around. It's mahogany, and basically I cut this into just over 12 and a half inches long, 4 pieces of it, and I glued them together. That's it. Now I am left with perfectly round 32 mil dowel basically, and that's going to become the handle. This is much easier to fit than, we say, a square one, and especially for the carving mallet, where you would prefer a round handle. You know what I mean? This is absolutely ideal. So that's it. As you can see, it's just the 4 quadrants put together. Very simple. And that's 32 mil because it was a 16 mil piece. Important to remember. Now we're going to make the mallet head from scrap wood, is what I'm going to use. I'm using today just some 1/2-inch plywood. That's all I'm using. You can use anything, as I said. You can use mahogany, you can use cherry, you can use CPAL, you know what I mean? So many different options here, purple heart, whatever, to make it as nice as you want or as practical as you want. I'm just showing you how to make it very simply. So the first thing we want to do with this is, obviously, I want to just tie it down with some clamps to some scrap wood. Okay, and how I'm going to make the body of the mallet is very simply, is by using layers, and for me, a 4-inch hole saw. Very simple. You can change this obviously to whatever you want. I like the 4-inch. Obviously it'll give, you know what I mean, the 4-inch is the full diameter of this, so the actual mallet will be slightly less than 4 inches. You can use any size you want of hole saw, you know what I mean, for this piece to give you the outside radius of, or the outside diameter of your mallet. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to drill into this very quickly. Okay, so we just pick a spot and away we go. Okay. Okay, so that's what we're left with, which is now basically our mallet. So you can see this is going good. So what I now do is get rid of my scrap plywood. Okay, so get rid of that. We're done with that for a moment. And the next thing I do is I take our cut piece back on the scrap wood, and we're going to just strap this down again, hold it lovely and tight. That'll do there, I should do fine. Now, because my handle is 32 mil, I'm going to use a 32 mil hole saw to put the center hole in this. Again, very, very easy. There is no carving, there's no chiseling out, you know what I mean? Nothing like that. The hole saw will do it all for you. Okay, so just put this one on here. Lock it in place. There we go. Now the great thing is obviously I know the center of this circle that I'm going to be cutting into, because I've still got the pilot hole. Since I'm using the same drill piece, this will just fit directly in and cut directly into the center every time, all the time. So again, we just ooh, it gets hot. That's sometimes what happens when you're cutting into plywood. Okay. Let's release the clamps. Put them to the side. We are done with the clamps. Now you can see I've got my circle with the other circle there cut inside it here. You can obviously see now where this is going. That is a beautiful tight fit onto my 32 mil dowel, because that's 32 mil and that's a 32 mil hole. Absolutely perfect. I think you can gather where we're going to go with this. So what I do next is I take that, bit of sandpaper, and we just start to tidy up. I just tidy this piece up, so just making sure it's dead flat. Okay, there we go, we just got it cleaned off. And it's very, very nice, as you can see. You do that a few times and you end up with something like this. So for this one here, I was just using two different types of pliers. You can see there are actually some different depths, or which doesn't make a difference. You know what I mean? Because these are going to be stacked, and I've got the two fat ones on the end. This basically will give me a mallet head of approximately 4 inches again, so it's just shy of 4 inches across in diameter, and it's 4 inches basically high. The next step is to take my dowel. I'm going to insert it through all them and glue them up as we go. Okay, so glue up, and to keep them off straight, we glue this in at the same time. So this is all going to be done at the same time, and then we leave it to dry. So let's get on with the glue up. Okay. Nice layer covering all parts of it. Okay, and we do that with each one. Okay, now we're ready to start assembly. Let me just grab a hammer. I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, got my hammer. Okay, ready to go to do a little bit of assembly now. So first thing I want to do is put a bit of glue on the center dowel. So we do all the glue up in one go. Oops. All right. Okay. So, as you can see, we got just a little bit of the glue just squeezing out, which is exactly what you want. And we're just going to leave this dry basically now. But as you can basically see, this is the basics of a mallet. And all we're going to do at the end of this now is just trim off the top, trim off the bottom, and we just give this a sanding. Okay? Again, very, very simple, yet very, very effective. Okay? Okay, we're back again. The glue's had time to dry. I have just given it a light sand, or it's in the case here, with some, that's 80 grit watt sandpaper, just to tidy it off. So we can just take the clamps off, and as you can see, we are left with a very strong mallet. That's the basis of it. So now I'm just going to tidy it up a little bit. So first thing I want to do is I want to trim off the end and then size the handle correctly. So normally I would hold it like this when I'm carving myself. I do like my hand right up at the top. So I prefer a short handle, so I'll probably be cutting it around here, give or take. And cutting this one off as well. So flush cut saw, we're just going to do it. So bear with me. Now, there we go. As it says, that I like, that suits me for my thing. If you like a little bit longer, you make it a little bit longer. So we are now just going to continue sanding. Just sand off the edges here, sand down the handle, and sand down the top a little bit. If you have an electric sander, belt sander, absolutely ideal. You can have it done in around 5-10 minutes tops. If you want, and you don't, you can do it by hand. And so that's 80 grit and then 120 grit paper. So again, bear with me. We'll sand this bad boy out, okay? Just going to use some wood oil now just to coat it all down. That's it. That's the basic mallet. That's it. If you use different woods, you can get different finishes here. I just used what I had lying around right now. And that was, as I said, a bit of scrap plywood and a bit of scrap mahogany. That was literally it. As you can see, made from scraps, we now make a beautiful wood carving mallet. No lathe required. Very, very easy to do. As you can see, with very, very simple hand tools. Anyway, that's it.